Hail Stalkers, thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and while we wait for a few people to jump on, I'm going to go ahead and check my mic levels, so give me just a few minutes here. We do have some ongoing severe storms across the southern portion of Iowa and northern side of Missouri. This is not the only round of storms that you're going to get today. So let me check my mic levels, put your weather questions in the comments, and we'll get started here in about 30 seconds. Alrighty, how do we sound out there? Actually, if you could put in the comments section if you can hear me, that would help. And then we'll get started. All right. I can hear me, which means that you should be able to as well. So let's talk about the storms today, because we have a level 3 severe weather risk across the portions of, honestly, where we're getting storms right now. This is not the only round of storms that we're going to get today. We've got another round of storms later on this evening and this afternoon. So let's take a look at the graphics here. Here's your headlines today. We've got 2 areas to watch. We've got, actually, these are left over from yesterday. Man, I updated it on my side. It didn't update over here, but I can tell you exactly what's going on. What we're expecting today are 2 rounds of storms. The first one happening this morning, the second one happening this afternoon and evening. The second one more impressive than the first. So the main show is coming later on this afternoon. We're really waiting for those storms to form around Omaha this afternoon and then move into places like Kansas City and Wichita shortly after that. And taking a look at your 24-hour storm reports here, it was a decently busy yesterday. You know, we had some storms out on the East Coast. We had some storms in Texas as well. But I'm not going to bore you too much with what happened yesterday. I'm going to get right into storms today, because that's my main focus for this live. I'm not going to stay on here for too long. I'm going to make this short and easy for you so that you know exactly what to expect. Let's start with your tornado forecast for today. Several tornadoes are expected either from Kansas to Missouri. Those are areas that are mainly in the target zone here, Kansas City and Joplin to be specific, but you know, we've also got places like Topeka, Manhattan included in that severe weather risk on the Kansas side. You can see Joplin all the way through the midway through Missouri on the Missouri side. Missouri, I think, will be one of those target areas for hail today. We've got some really impressive lapse rates in this area. So that's what you're looking at right now. Well, it's technically our significant hail model. Our significant hail model is showing that anything highlighted in yellow, potential for quarter size hail. Orange gets up to golf ball size hail, and anytime we see that red, we get into that baseball size hail zone. Now, I'm very doubtful for baseball size hail for today. It's possible, very, very isolated, but I think it's going to be more of a widespread golf ball to 2 inches type of hail day. You know, not too bad. That's pretty impressive. Missouri looking like it's really in the target zone here, especially the northern side of Missouri. Omaha to Kansas City will get storms first. And then we'll see that storm risk shift into places like Illinois. You can see Chicago highlighted there, and a decent amount of yellow. Could get some hail today. But then as those storms continue to track down to the southeast into places like St. Louis, we're going to see that potential for hail start to fall off a little bit. So St. Louis, you guys are looking at more of a wind risk for today. Let's talk about timeline. Here's a look at those storms that are ongoing right now across portions of southern Missouri and southern and western Iowa. Now, these are severe for Iowa and northern Missouri. We've got, let's see what this is. I think it's just for wind. Okay, 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds and quarter size hail. This is what we consider just marginally severe, not too impressive here. As we head into the afternoon hours, my timeline is right around 2 o'clock today. By 2 o'clock today, I think we're going to start to see storms forming in southern Nebraska and southern Iowa. Will Omaha get hit today? You're definitely going to get some rain. I know what you're thinking. The World Series happening in Omaha right now. We've got baseball. I'm repping my OU shirt today, hoping for a good win for them. But there's a lot of, I think, storms. I think that games happen at what, 3 and 7 today? Not sure if I'm correct on that or not. I think I would expect rain delays. Who knows if we're going to see hail? but I would expect rain delays at minimum. Now, storms get a lot more widespread by about 5 o'clock, still staying in Nebraska and Iowa here, maybe just barely coming into St. Joe, Missouri. Storms will intensify as we head into the evening hours. Now, this is when I think that we could see maybe a little bit of hail in southern Iowa. Now, you see how Omaha is just barely on the edge of the most intense storms. So it's absolutely possible to get hailed there today, but nothing is guaranteed. What is more guaranteed or more likely is those storms through Kansas City and Wichita. Now, these are going to be your great hail producers. I think that if we could see these isolated supercells, we could get hail in this area. These storms come through a little bit later at night. So my original timeline was between about 4 and 8 o'clock. We're going to push that up later in the day a little bit. We're going to stay closer to 5 to 10 o'clock tonight for storms from Wichita to Kansas City. Now you can see how many storms are on the map right now. We've got a whole line of storms that stretches all the way down into Amarillo, Texas. If these can stay pretty isolated, get that good inflow, enough room to organize, that's when we're going to get really good chance for hail. If they become too crowded, it's going to switch into a wind chance very, very quickly. But I think Kansas City with the best chance for hail today. We're going to continue through this model. You've got storms through Chicago as well, potential for some small hail up there, up to the size of maybe a ping pong ball in Chicago. Again, larger hail down in Kansas City. Now I'm trying to see your chat on the side of my screen. I'm not seeing it. Let me see if I can, as always, put your questions in the comment section. Usually I can see that. Let me see if I can fix some things real quick to be able to see your chat and your questions. Now I'm producing by myself today, which makes it a little bit harder for me to see everything. Okay, I can see your chats now. Perfect. Good news there. So let's move on. Max forecasted hail size today. I told you guys earlier that, okay, you can still see me. I told you guys earlier that baseball size hail is possible, but it's more likely to see closer to golf ball size hail, maybe up to 2 inches. I think that your largest hailstones, probably around golf ball to hen egg. Baseball is possible. But it's going to be more of a widespread golf ball size hail day. Where are we looking for that? In Kansas City, the eastern side of Kansas. Wichita, absolutely possible to get some large hail in this area. Omaha, I've kept you guys in that level 2 zone just because over and over and over storms like to go right into Omaha, just like what we saw this morning. Did you guys know we had a hailstorm in Omaha this morning? It wasn't big hail. It was like quarter-size hail, but we saw a lot of reports over there. Storms possible up into places like Milwaukee and Chicago, but as we get farther closer to those Great Lakes, we're going to bring those hail sizes down. And then as we go farther down to the south into places like St. Louis and Springfield, that's whenever we get into that wind risk and not as much of a hail risk in this area. So let's talk timeline. We've already kind of talked about it for Wichita and Kansas City, but I want to go down to Oklahoma now. Anyone watching from Oklahoma today? Storms will most likely stay away for most of the day, so don't let anyone tell you it's going to be a soggy day. We've got tons of sunshine right now. Blue skies out there. That's going to help us to heat up, and that heat, what happens with it? Well, hot air rises, and what goes up must come down. It's going to help to fuel storms later on today. Our first sign of a storm is maybe around Tulsa, around 5 o'clock this evening, but I think that the main show will come much later than that, as you see storms coming into the area around 9 o'clock, starting in Woodward and Amarillo, and then even through the late to overnight hours into Oklahoma City. Now, as we sink farther into Oklahoma, that severe risk goes down, and the chance for severe weather is going to be pretty low through the overnight hours. That just the conditions are not great through the overnight, but what it will bring is some much needed rain. We absolutely need the rain through here. We've got a question about Springfield, Missouri. You guys are getting some rain right now. Well, only a few sprinkles on the east side of the city. Maybe not a ton of rain. But your better chance for storms is going to be later on tonight. A very similar timeline for what we talked about in Tulsa. So most of those severe storms are going to happen through the overnight hours tonight. Could you get an isolated severe storm before that? It's possible. What's more probable is these storms that are coming down from Kansas City. I mean, look, again, possible around 4 o'clock to see storms in Springfield go severe. That's absolutely possible. But what's more likely are the storms coming down from Kansas City. Oh, you've got a nice one around 9. There you go. So there's Springfield. I hope that helped with your question. On and off rain throughout Springfield today. I told you Oklahoma, it won't be a soggy day. Springfield, you guys may have more chances for more of a soggy outlook. All right, you guys can still hear me. I can still see your questions. Let's move on here. Let's go ahead and let's talk about, I want to get into the long term because I want to tell you what's going to happen as we head into Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. So what happens here is we see this low pressure system try to move its way back into the US. Right now it's sitting up in Canada. It's trying to move its way back into the US. That's going to keep us pretty active along the East Coast and in places like Texas through Sunday, maybe through Monday. After that, what happens is we go into something called zonal flow. So basically what that means is that our jet stream is almost parallel to our state lines, parallel like this. After that, do you see this ridge right here? This is what people on social media like to call the death ridge. Basically, it's a high pressure system that parks itself in the southern portion of the US. Sometimes that's across the Four Corners. Sometimes it's a little bit farther to the east. And it does look like that's starting to set up as we head into the end of next week. So just a heads up, this severe weather, this very active pattern may come to a, I don't want to call it a stop because this high pressure system doesn't look too strong, but it may start to slow down at least. This storm risk today is the most impressive storm risk we have over the next week. So we're going to continue. Any other questions about timeline today? I've got one more graphic on timeline, and then we'll move to storms tomorrow. You guys may have heard us saying yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before, keep an eye on Texas for Sunday. We've had our eye on Texas. It looks like it's trying to come to fruition here. Got a little hail risk out in western Texas. Got a little chance for storms across Dallas. Your hail risk in Dallas is going to be a wild card. Nothing is for sure. Most likely what we'll see in Dallas is rain and very, very low chances for severe weather. But if you could get a very, very hot day, I told you guys earlier, what goes up must come down, that heat rises, and we have potential for some very, very small hail, or low chance, I'll say low chance for hail in Dallas tomorrow. What will most likely happen is more storms in western Texas to go severe. Patrick is asking, any structures hit in Omaha from that storm last night? I think this is a great question. Let's go back in time and look at Omaha. Oh, I was already on it. So this is right around 8 o'clock this morning. Severe thunderstorm warning for Omaha. 1-inch size hail in Fremont. Quarter size hail. Quarter size hail being wind driven is the exact report here in Fremont. So we know that this storm has wind. We're getting a few wind reports as well. This highlighted here in green says strong winds caused power outages in Meade via report on Facebook. Time estimated right around 8:01. Ooh, a nice 70-mile-per-hour wind gust just outside of Omaha. So some strong wind coming into Omaha, some very, very heavy rain. And this is where we saw the hail. We've got one report in the northwestern side. Well, it's kind of outside of the city, just to the north of Boys Town. And then we've got a few more reports down near Bellevue. Let me check the Hail Trace app real quick and see if I can give you any more information than that. Yeah, it looks like this is probably the best information I can give you because these areas that I just showed you that had the hail reports are about where they mapped. They had another area near Valley and Waterloo. But of course, if you want the full map, that's at hailtrace.com, and you'll look for today's map, not yesterday's map. I know that's a little confusing because we do 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. for our maps. Let me know if you have any questions about that. I know that gets a little confusing. Western Kentucky. Current radar shows you guys are clear right now. For storms today, you should also be clear. Let's go back to our maps here and show you storms for today. You're going to see this change a little bit on my side of things, but we'll get back into it here in just a few minutes. Let's try that. This is what happens whenever I produce myself. This is what our graphics look like behind the scenes. You guys get to watch me produce myself now. Nope, that's not going to work either. Okay. Let's do this. Western Kentucky, you guys are in the slight risk for today, highlighted there in yellow. You guys are going to be very similar to St. Louis, where most of your storms, you're going to have a better chance for wind than you are for hail. It's going to be a low chance for hail. You're barely in the tornado risk. And it's probably confusing because my camera is covering that up. Let me move this up a little bit. Barely in the tornado risk for Western Kentucky. Timeline here. Few showers from this first round coming in this afternoon. Now with this, you're going to have a very low chance for hail. That's probably small hail, if anything. And then you're going to have another round of storms through the overnight hours. Here we are, 1 a.m. That may struggle to go severe. Do we have you guys in the hail risk at all? Just barely, just right along the state line. Northwestern Arkansas, Rogers, Arkansas. I actually have some family up there in Rogers, Arkansas. Let's go to Arkansas. Just barely in the hail risk. Some small hail possible. It's not looking great in this area for hail today. Most likely more of a wind risk for you guys. Are you included in that tornado risk? Let's see. Just barely in that tornado risk as well. Keep an eye on those early storms in this area. So there's your forecast for today and tomorrow. I told you this was going to be a very short forecast, so I'm actually going to hop off of here now. As always, if you have more questions, put them in the comments section after this show ends, because we can go back and we can see those questions that you have after the forecast ends today. I'm pretty good about monitoring the forecast or the comment section, pretty good about answering those questions. As always, send us your hail, wind, and tornado pictures. We love sharing those on our social media pages. And if you're interested in a hail, wind, or tornado report from Hailtrace, give us a call. Go over to our website, hailtrace.com, and we can get you set up on a subscription. Do that before storms hit. I think that first, other than the line of storms that we have ongoing right now, which I think they're about to be done with these severe warnings here. It's really mainly for wind right now. Let me double check that. Yeah, 60 mile per hour wind gusts and penny size hail going through northern Missouri right now. The first severe thunderstorm warning probably pretty close to Omaha, southern Nebraska, southern Iowa, right around 2 o'clock this afternoon. So we'll be watching it for you. We'll make sure that we have you guys updated on social media, so follow us there. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we'll see you back here same time, same place for your forecast tomorrow.